Cole, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Don, congratulations and welcome to Philadelphia.
Thank you, Cole.
After 3 seasons assisting a younger manager in John Schneider, how do you see your role changing as you work alongside a more seasoned manager in Rob?
I think it will be similar from the standpoint of my job is really just to be another set of eyes and ears for Tom's, right? And to be managing along, during the game, try to stay ahead a little bit, stay with him. I know it gets busy and fast at times when you may have to, you're thinking about your pitching and then you got a pinch hit situation and all those things get fast. So really just try to be another set of eyes, try to stay ahead with him and just lighten the load for him.
Okay, let's go to Scott Lauber next.
Don, I think there was a time this year where you thought that 2025 might be not only your last year with the Blue Jays, but also maybe your last year in the dugout period. I wonder what made you decide that you wanted to keep doing this and why Philly was a place that you wanted to continue doing it.
You're absolutely right. I did think that this was kind of it. Last year was going to be it. I kind of knew it before the season. Felt like my kind of mission going to Toronto was like, in a sense, accomplished from the standpoint of just helping a young manager get started who's really talented, really good manager. I knew that part of my job was going to be finished. As the season went on, I think as much as anything, my youngest, Louis, who just turned 11, was kind of like, Dad, you can't stop. You got to keep going. And I was like, oh, I don't know about this. So that kind of helped change it a little bit because I do worry about him and missing school and all that stuff that he does. And then after the season, Ross calls me and says, Philly called and asked permission to talk to you. And then talking with Dave and having somebody that, wants you, right, and explain what he thought I could bring to the table and again, be part of, obviously this is a great club to start with. I think 95 or 6 wins last year. So it's going to a good club. It's going to people that, Tom's I've worked with, K Long I've worked with, Edouard, worked with him in Miami. So that was interesting, but it was nice to be wanted. Obviously the Preston factor to be able to work, alongside your son is something that, since this thing started with him working in San Diego, he's been kind of telling me what to do or what we needed to do in Miami and then what we need to do here or there. So I think having that opportunity is interesting to be able to work alongside instead of kind of being able to, like last year, it was like, hey, I hope we play Philly in the World Series, right? So go head to head with him. But now it's nice to be on the same team.
And Rob, I just wonder, in addition to all of Don's experience as a manager, he obviously had a long and accomplished big league career. I wonder what it means to have somebody with that sort of playing track record on the staff to go along with all the other good coaches that you've got.
Yeah, it's interesting because Dave and I have been talking about hiring a guy like Donnie with that type of pedigree. Because as great as our staff is, we don't have that guy that's been a star in the big leagues. Future should be in the Hall of Fame as far as I'm concerned. And I think when it came to me that there was a possibility that Donnie was going to be available, I said, this is the perfect guy. Because I know him, I know the integrity, I know the knowledge, I know how detailed he is. And plus, I think he's a great sounding board for our players and our stars because he's been there and he's done all these things. And the rest of us really can't answer that. So this is a huge deal I'm so excited to have Donnie. I'm so excited. It's just going to be a great addition to our staff.
Let's go to Colin Newby next. Colin?
Hi, Don. Congratulations. Rob has talked to us in the past a little bit about his experience with the Yankees and his relationship with Joe Torre, and that has shaped his career a little bit. I'm just curious, how has your past with Rob and your past with Joe and the Yankees shaped you at all?
Yeah, a lot of the same. Obviously, Joe had a big impact on just watching him work, watching him. I don't want to say handle, but how he got along with players, how he communicated, was something that it was beautiful to actually see the way he did it so easily. The years working with Tom's, I mean, unbelievable. It started off like, Tom's was running camp, and I was just kind of a first year coach, and it was so organized, and just being able to work alongside of Thompson in the cage. He helped me in the cage, and just having a respect for the work ethic. And, Thompson's one of the guys, he's kind of done everything in the game. And you respect people that have worked their way through and done a lot of different jobs. And was happy to see Thompson when he got the opportunity in Philly to take over, that he had the success that he did. I think they ran to the World Series the first year, but to see him have success, it's like you like to see good people that work hard, be rewarded and have success. So both of those guys together have been a part of my growth as a coach, as a manager. Now, having the opportunity to bench coach and do things like that, but both guys have had an impact on me.
Okay, let's go to Marcus Hayes next. Marcus?
Rob, I have kind of three questions for you, most of them talking about the change. If not, it seems like a perfect fit with Don, but if not Don, where would you have gone? What would you have done? What do you think Don brings that Mike didn't, specifically sort of as a decision maker or a sounding board, as you say? And excuse me, do you think that in looking at some of the decisions you've made in the past couple of postseasons, especially, that have been discussed or controversial, do you think that having Don there might have altered those decisions? I know you review kind of everything you do all the time.
Well, we can now blame Don for bad decisions in the past. So, I had a list of a bunch of people, former managers, coaches, all that have played in the big leagues and had success in the big leagues, either in the dugout or on the field. But really, Donnie was the guy. I never talked to anybody else because we wanted to find out from Donnie first. As far as Cal's concerned, Cal's job really doesn't change. It's just the title change. He's still going to be running the day-to-day. He's still going to be running spring training. He's still going to be our information guy. He's still going to be a voice that I hear in the dugout, along with Donnie's, along with everybody, really, because I take everybody's opinion or their information. But I just think we're adding a great voice, a guy that's had a lot of experience doing this, great pedigree, and we're adding a really solid guy to a great coaching staff.
Do you think that any of your decisions might have been different over the last couple of years?
Possibly.
If Don was there.
Yeah, possibly. You never know.
Okay, let's go to Ty Daubert. Ty?
Hi, Don. Rob sort of mentioned before your playing experience and how that might play a factor in this role. How do you feel like you can lean on your playing career with this specific roster that has a lot of star players? And I was curious if you have any sort of past relationship with any of the players on the current roster coming in.
Well, first of all, I think you start your playing career, your coaching career, managing career, however you want to look at it. All that is part of you. It becomes part of you. How you you understand, and that's the one thing I've tried to always do is never forget how hard the game is. And I know, guys make a lot of money and we expect them to be, to come through all the time. And it's not that way. So I try to never forget, my past as a player. And people will say to you, well, you never struggled. I'm like, I struggled plenty, right? Everybody struggles. And I think that's what you always bring to the situation, right? So that's what I feel like I bring. It's what I've brought everywhere with me. I'm always going to try to be myself. Any role that I've played as a coach or a hitting coach or manager, I feel like I'm here to help players. I'm here to serve, help them, get the best out of their ability. And it's not about me. It's really about the players. The players are going to direct how we go, right? We're going to try to put them in the best position. Thompson's going to work through it all and listen to the voices that he hears, make a decision, and try to put these guys in the best position. So that's kind of the way I use my past. A couple of guys, Jesus, I had Jesus Luzardo in Miami. So other than that, the coaches are the guys that I know. Talk with Bryce, briefly at different things. I remember the All-Star game in Miami, talk with him and Joey Votto. He's always been a guy for me. It's been really interesting just because of how young he was when he came, how good he was when he broke into the league, watching his development over the years. This cat can go for me. He's this is a first ballot Hall of Famer, hands down. So I love being around guys like that. Obviously what Schwarber's done, Trey, a great roster. So I'm just excited about being, kind of meeting all the guys and really just being a part of helping this thing hopefully be better, a touch better than it was last year, right? Obviously you're a great club, but there's going to be one team that wins it all and everybody else is going to have a crash landing at some point. Hopefully we don't have a crash landing and we're able to be the team that wins our last game. And really that's the way I look at it.
Yeah, let's go to Matt Gelb.
Hi, Don. Matt Geller from The Athletic. I'm wondering, with Bryce specifically, different players, you and him obviously, but you were a first baseman with a lot of attention for many years. I mean, do you think you can be a sounding board maybe for him? I don't know what your relationship is with him already, but maybe what could you bring to that relationship with Bryce?
Well, I think we find out, right? You got to build a relationship first. So you want to get with all the players that, number one, they trust you. You watch, you learn from, I've seen him from afar. I have not seen him from the inside. I've seen Trey from afar, not seen him from the inside. None of the guys outside of Jesus. So you want to build relationships with everybody, listen to them, watch them, and just talk, right? And if there's things that he wants to talk about from first base standpoint, then we can talk about it. If there's things he thinks about at the plate, hitting a lefty or hitting a righty or certain style of pitcher, for me too, I'm going to be like, hey, what are you trying to do with this guy? Right? What are you trying to do? And what you're thinking, I want to learn too. So I feel like I'm learning all the time, but so those are the type of things you got to build the relationships and go from there.
Okay, let's go over to Tim Kelly.
Hey, Don, a lot was made of you finally getting a chance to be in the World Series this past year. I'm wondering, with how Game 7 ended, getting that close, is that something that drove you to continue? If that game had played out differently, might you have walked away?
I don't think it has anything to do with it, honestly. I mean, obviously, I was thrilled to get the opportunity. Heartbroken like the rest of us when that game went the wrong way at the end. But more hurting for our players. That group of players put a ton into that this past season. I felt like they give the organization and the coaching staff and the fans, you could see it. They give you everything they had. So that ending was hard from that standpoint for the players. Obviously, the goal to win one is always there, and so Philly gives not only the Philly players, honestly, give us a chance to do the same thing, right? To be able to get there, to get an opportunity to win the whole thing, and I'm sure it's a goal of everyone in the organization, players, ownership, fans. That's what we're here for, right? Is to win it all, and that's really the goal.
Go to Jim Salisbury.
Thanks, Kev. Don, I was wondering, do you still harbor any aspirations to manage again?
I don't. The managing days for me, I'm 64, getting ready to turn 65. I see the energy it takes to deal with the media twice a day, to have the conversation with players. You got the front office dealing with that aspect. It never really stops. I'm assuming Rob's phone's ringing when he's at home during the off season. It never really stops. And I look at myself and say, I don't think I have the energy for that anymore. It took me a little bit to make sure I was ready for this, right? When Dave calls and I think about it, at that point, I'm exhausted from the season. It took a little bit to go, okay, I can do this, right? I'm ready to do it again. And but the man side for me, I feel like those days have passed me by. And so I don't have any aspirations to manage again.
And if I could just ask, I mean, the whole thing with Preston as GM, I mean, and you coming aboard, it really is kind of storybook, and it would be really storybook if you got to that elusive World Series, working under your son. But are there challenges to working under your son? And did you have conversations with him and the organization about those challenges?
Yeah, that was definitely something. You're right from the standpoint to be able to do it with him would be incredible. So that side of it, but the other side was something that I was concerned about right away. And I talked with Dave about that. Preston's kind of starting, I should say, kind of at the beginning of his career. I'm at the end of my career. I don't want this to be a negative in any way for him. I'm very, I guess I'm very protective of the locker room relationship with players. They have to be able to trust that, I'm not a voice that's just running upstairs and talking about anything and everything. That's just not the way I operate. I came from a different era where that is not something that happens. I'm going to have to build that trust with players, right? So they will trust me that that's not going to happen. But definitely that side of it was something that concerned me. Talking with Dave, sounds like he had talked to Thompson about it. I don't know if he had talked to any other players about it or not, but it was something that Dave thought that wasn't going to be a problem.
Thanks so much.
All right, let's go to Todd Zalecki.
Hey, Don, Todd Zalecki, MLB.com. Kind of following up on that, I don't know how much you and Preston talk, text every day, every week, or whatever. How much did you guys talk when this opportunity came up, and what were those conversations like?
We do talk. I wouldn't say every day. Probably more lately than during the season. During the season, it's kind of hit or miss. Once a week, 10 days, sometimes more, sometimes less. But he's always been telling me what to do for a long time now. So he's been letting me know. But yeah, we did. We've talked about it. Once, David called and everything else, we kind of went back and forth on it. But we've always talked. When Preston and I get together, it seems like we'll talk about the kids for a little bit. We'll talk about whatever. And it always ends up baseball at the end of it, about this guy, that guy. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? back and forth. So it's pretty cool in that sense. So I'd say we speak, once a week at least, probably more, a little bit more now.
Thanks.
It looks like we got just a couple more. Let's go to Dan Gelston. Go ahead.
Hi, Don. Dan Gelston, Associated Press. How you doing? I have two questions, and the first one is, you said you weren't sure you wanted to do this again. Are you kind of committed here for a while, as long as Rob wants you, or do you still think you're going to take it year by year?
I wanted to. Yeah, it took me a little bit, and I think part of it was just making sure the family was good, right? Make sure, discussing this with my wife, actually getting Louis' input. It's kind of crazy to listen to an 11-year-old, but just his feelings on that, because he's paying a price for everything that I do in this. Your kids pay that price of you being gone, him in school, moving back and forth, puts him in a different spot. So that was something that, I had to make sure I was ready for it. I have committed to a couple of years with Tom's, and just go from there. I'm assuming that, that would be it for me. I've assumed a few times already, but I'm assuming that would be it for me. But you never say never.
And the second question would be: is it still tough each time the Hall of Fame ballot, the Hall of Fame results come out like they did in December, or has it been? It's been a few times. Is it? I don't know if it's easier to accept, but you just kind of like resign yourself to that, or do you still get like optimistic that this will be the year?
I try not to let myself get optimistic. This year I was a little optimistic. It seemed like there was some sort of momentum, but I've told myself I won't do that again. So yeah, I just I was a little bit optimistic and disappointed this time, but it took me about a day to just think about how grateful I was for being in the game, for all the great things the game has done for me and my family. So yeah, it lasted about till I fell asleep that night.
Thank you.
Got it.
Okay, we got two final questions. Let's go to Cole first, and then we'll end with Jim Salisbury.
Don, your squad in Toronto excelled at putting the ball in play. Now, after taking the Dodgers to Game 7 of the World Series, do you feel a more contact-driven approach is the key to defeating Los Angeles?
I think there's a lot of things that have to happen. You need a balance of a lot of things to beat good teams. I've always believed it starts with pitching and playing good defense and things like that. And then a balance of, because if you just have contact, you can beat the Dodgers. You got to hit the ball out of the ballpark. I think everybody knows that. You got to be able to drive the ball and score runs. So just putting the ball in play is not enough. But it's something that, I haven't really dug into. I haven't had a chance with Tom's to dig into this club and the positives, the negatives, the things that you think you would need to get better at. Look forward to doing that in the next few weeks here before spring and then through spring training. But it takes a lot to beat good teams. You got to be able to pitch. You got to be able to catch it. The ball's got to bounce your way a little bit. I think, you have to have a little bit of luck in there, but for the most part, you got to play good baseball. And that's what I love. I love seeing teams play good baseball. And hopefully this is a year that we play good baseball in all areas.
All right, Jimmy.
Yeah. Hey, Rob, I was just wondering about Zack Wheeler. Where is he in his throwing program? How's he doing? How's he feeling? Is he getting close to a bullpen maybe?
Well, he's out to 75 feet right now, and I'm going to see him. I'm in Philly now. I'm in the office. I'm going to see him tomorrow. He's coming in to work out tomorrow, so I'll have a little better gauge on him. But the trainers seem to think he's doing very well.
Okay, thanks.
Great. There are no further questions. So thanks everyone for joining us. Thank you, Don. Thank you, Rob Thompson, for getting on as well. And we'll get the recording out soon. Thank you.